Have you ever zoned out while looking at the sun and thought, how does this giant ball of fire never burn out? Well, instead of wondering your whole life, let's unpack some wild but exciting facts together about the star that brightens our days every day. Ever wonder why the sun never goes out, even though a stove flame can be blown out by the wind? Well, it turns out the sun isn't a normal fire. It doesn't burn like wood. Instead, it performs a super powerful reaction called nuclear fusion. Imagine nuclear fusion like two small balloons being forced to merge. In the sun, those balloons are hydrogen atoms. When they fuse, they create a tiny explosion, but billions happen every second. That's why its energy is insane. The energy from this fusion is far more powerful than even a nuclear bomb. But don't worry, the sun is about 150 million kilometers away from Earth. So we only get a just right amount of heat, even if it sometimes feels like an oven at high noon. When you see sunlight, that light actually took thousands of years to escape from the sun's core. Yes, thousands of years. The light was trapped first, bouncing around inside before it could escape. The sun's core is about 15 million degrees Celsius. It's not a heat you can compare to chili peppers or a pot of boiling noodles. This is heat on a vaporize instantly level if you were there. Interestingly, the sun doesn't use fuel like wood or oil. It only uses hydrogen. And its hydrogen stock is huge, enough for it to shine for about another 5 billion years, safe for our grandchildren's grandchildren. Sometimes we see the sun as a calm object that just appears every morning, but on its surface there are giant storms throwing flames as high as Earth. Seriously, a single eruption can be much larger than our planet. Those eruptions are called solar flares. If they hit Earth, they can disrupt GPS signals, the internet, and even power grids. Luckily, Earth's magnetic field is like a bodyguard that blocks the sun's attacks. The sun's surface isn't actually solid. It's super hot gas moving wildly. No ground, no rocks. So if you imagine the sun as a ball of fire, that's pretty accurate, but it's fire on an extreme level. Even though the sun is incredibly hot, its outer atmosphere, called the corona, is even hotter. Weird, right? It's like the tip of the flame being hotter than the base. Scientists are still scratching their heads over this. Every second, the sun loses 4 million tons of its mass, converted into energy. Imagine 4 million tons disappearing every second. But relax, it's so massive that losing that much doesn't make a difference. If the sun were human, it would be middle-aged now, not old, but quite mature. And like humans, one day it will change, though not by getting wrinkles, but by expanding. One day, the sun will run out of hydrogen. When that happens, it will start to panic, heat up, and expand. Its size could grow to swallow Mercury and Venus. Earth, its fate is still debated. But that's billions of years from now. For now, the sun is stable because its pressure is balanced, like a person living peacefully. Not too explosive, but still has enough energy to shine every day. The sunlight you see right now actually takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach your eyes. So, if the sun suddenly disappeared, we wouldn't know until 8 minutes later. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Even so, the sun isn't the biggest star. Many other stars are hundreds of times larger, so the sun is actually a nobody in the galaxy, but to us, it's the forever MVP. The sun keeps Earth's temperature just right. Not too cold to freeze, not too hot to burn. This habitable zone is what allowed life to emerge. You could say we live in the sweet spot. The relationship between Earth and the sun is like an ideal couple. Earth needs heat and light. The sun provides just enough without getting too close. If it got too close, game over. All energy on Earth, from wind to ocean waves, originally comes from the sun. Even the food you eat is a result of the sun's energy through photosynthesis. So, without the sun, we'd literally starve. In the next story, we'll see what happens if one day the sun changes its nature. What will Earth's fate be? How will humanity survive? The story will get even more exciting, so get ready for the next episode. Okay, let's continue. In the previous story, we discussed that one day the sun will change. Well, when the hydrogen in its core runs out, it starts to burn brighter and expand. This phase is called a red giant. When it becomes a red giant, the sun's heat will increase insanely. Earth, which was once in the comfort zone, will start to get scorching hot. Oceans will evaporate, land will dry up and the atmosphere will thin. It's like an oven being turned up. But before panicking, remember, this is billions of years away. Who knows what will have become of humanity by then? But for this story, just imagine we live in that time. Humans would definitely find a way to escape Earth. Scientists might build colonies on Mars or other moons. Why? Because as the sun expands, Earth's orbit could change, and Mars might become more habitable than it is now. So, it's like moving to a different planetary neighborhood. Earth will slowly lose its oceans, plants, and animals. Everything will dry up. The sun that was once warm becomes a heat monster. Imagine daytime feels like sitting in front of a fan blowing fire. As the sun continues to expand, it could reach Venus's orbit, and most likely, Earth would also be swept by extreme heat. This planet would lose all forms of life. But don't be sad just yet. Because for several hundred million years before that, humans have plenty of time to adapt. Technology will advance. Who knows, we might even be living in large space stations. Amidst this change, the sun continues to burn heavier elements after running out of hydrogen. It starts processing helium, generating new energy, but this reaction is not as stable as before. The red giant phase is very dramatic. The sun's surface swells wildly, like a balloon overinflated, but strangely, the core actually shrinks and strengthens. Two weird conditions happening together. At a certain point, the sun can no longer maintain its enormous size. It begins to shed its outer layers into space. Particles of light and gas fly away, forming a beautiful nebula. This nebula is the colorful glowing cloud you often see in space photos. It's funny, isn't it? Something that destroys planets can turn into such a beautiful cosmic painting. After all the outer layers are released, all that remains is the sun's core. It's small but extremely dense. This is called a white dwarf, or bluntly, the bare bones of a star. This white dwarf is still hot, but it no longer has fuel for fusion, so gradually it will just cool and fade. The sun that was once brilliantly bright finally becomes a quiet, old star. Earth, which may no longer exist, once hosted life because that white dwarf is what gave us light and energy long ago. It's sad, but also poetic, like an old memory slowly fading. But think about it, all the atoms in our bodies, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, originally came from stars that died like the sun will. So, indirectly, we are children of the stars. Therefore, when the sun turns into a white dwarf, it is actually creating a new beginning for the future cosmos. The dust and gas it releases could form new stars or planets in the future. Perhaps, somewhere far away, a new star is born with an Earth-like planet. And maybe, just maybe, another life begins to thrive there. So why doesn't the sun burn out now? Because it still has fuel, it's still stable, still balanced, it's in its prime adult phase. This is the most peaceful time of its life. And during this peaceful time, we enjoy the morning light, blue skies, growing plants, and thriving life. All because a giant ball of gas quietly performs nuclear fusion. Finally, we know. The sun doesn't burn out, not because of magic, but because of an incredible scientific process. And one day it will change, but until that day comes, enjoy its warmth. The sun is the reason we live. And if you like stories like this, or are interested in similar topics, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you won't miss out on other exciting content. In the next video, there will be an even more interesting topic. It could be more mysterious, more entertaining, or even more surprising than you imagined. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Likes and comments also help this channel grow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.